In 2018, a Canadian artist named Trevor Henderson posted an image online. It showed something standing in a field, tall, thin, wrong in a way that was difficult to immediately name. Where a head should have been, two sirens. He called it Siren Head. Henderson said it was not a man-made creature. He said it predates us. He said it has been here long enough to learn how we communicate, how we warn each other, how we call for help, and it learned to use those same sounds to hunt. Tonight we have 3 accounts of people who encountered it. One of them survived by not stopping the car. One of them survived by not answering when it called their name. One of them survived because it let him go. We don't know why it does that. Nobody does. These are 3 true Siren Head encounters. Stay with us.
The first account comes from a woman named Rachel. She was 26 years old, driving back from her sister's house on a rural highway in northern Minnesota. It was late November. The road ran through 40 miles of national forest with no gas stations, no turnoffs, and no phone signal. She had made this drive before. She was not afraid of it. The drive was uneventful until mile marker 31, when her car radio, which had been playing a late-night talk show, cut to static. Like a rib cage, she said, like watching something very large and very patient breathe in its sleep. She did not stop. She did not look directly at it. She pressed the accelerator as far as it would go. As she passed it, in the half-second, her headlights swept across the gap between the poles. She saw at the top of the figure 2 shapes she recognized. She told investigators later that she couldn't explain how she kept the car on the road. She drove 40 miles without stopping. She drove through the town of Ely without stopping. She drove to the county sheriff's office and sat in the parking lot with the car running until a deputy came out to ask if she was all right. She played him the recording. Her phone had been sitting in the cup holder the whole drive. She had never opened it. But her voicemail app had recorded 47 seconds of audio from inside the car at 11:34 p.m., 8 minutes before she passed mile marker 33. The recording was the EAS broadcast, all of it, word for word, including the part that came after she passed it. She had not heard that part while driving. The broadcast had ended as she passed the figure, but the voicemail had captured it. Subject has passed the hazard safely. Recording this voice for future use. The sheriff's department investigated the stretch of road near mile marker 33. They found the standard number of utility poles. But between poles 31 and 32, the ground was compacted in a pattern inconsistent with vehicle traffic or animal movement. The pattern was roughly circular, about 3 meters in diameter. Whatever had stood there long enough to leave that mark. The investigation was closed without a formal conclusion. Rachel does not drive through national forest at night anymore. She says the thing that bothers her most isn't what she saw. It's the last line of the broadcast, recording this voice for future use. She wonders sometimes whose voice it was using before it found hers.
The next account comes from a man named Daniel. He submitted it anonymously to a wilderness incident database in 2023. He said the reason was not embarrassment. He said the reason was that it can find people by name, and he didn't want it to already know his.
Daniel was 29 years old when he went camping in the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness in northern Minnesota with 3 friends. Their names were Marcus, Jess, and a woman named Claire. It was mid-August. The site was remote, accessible only by canoe, no road access, no cell service. They had done this trip before. It was their 4th summer in a row. They set up camp around 5 in the afternoon. They made dinner. They had a fire. They went to their tents round midnight. Claire's tent was nearest the tree line dotted to 17 a.m. Daniel woke up. He didn't know why dotted no sound. No movement, just the particular alertness that sometimes arrives in the night for no reason. The way your body decides something is different before your mind understands what. He lay still and listened. The forest was quiet in a way he didn't recognize. He had camped in the boundary waters enough times to know its sounds. The loons at night, the occasional splash of something in the water, wind moving through birch and pine in a specific frequency that he had always found settling. There was none of that. No loons. No wind, not even insects. The silence was total in the way of a post-recording. Then Claire spoke. Her voice came from outside his tent, from the direction of the tree line, maybe 30 or 40 feet past her tent. She said, "Danny, come here." Daniel sat up. Claire only called him Danny when she was upset about something. It was her version of using his full name. He associated it with serious conversations, with something being wrong. He reached for his flashlight. Then he stopped. Something about her voice was not right. He had known Claire for 11 years. He had heard her voice across a restaurant, through a phone with bad signal, in the dark when she was half asleep. He knew exactly how her voice sounded in all of those conditions. This sounded like Claire the way a recording of Claire sounds like Claire. Close, almost indistinguishable, but there was something behind the voice. Underneath it, a texture that didn't belong to human vocal cords, a faint mechanical undertone, like a tape playing slightly too slow. He did not leave his tent. He texted Marcus on their offline mesh communication device, a small radio unit they carried for exactly these situations. Claire is outside near the tree line. Something is wrong with her voice. Marcus responded in 30 seconds. Claire is in her tent. I can hear her breathing. Daniel's blood went very cold. He typed, "What is near the tree line?" Marcus didn't respond for 90 seconds. Then, "Don't come out." The voice outside Daniel's tent said his name again. "Danny, come here." It sounded exactly like Claire and nothing like Claire at the same time. It sounded like someone had recorded every conversation Claire and Daniel had ever had and was playing them back through a machine that understood the phonetics, but not the weight behind them. It had no weight. That was the difference. Claire's voice had weight. It had history in it. It had 11 years. This was just the shape of her voice with nothing inside. Daniel sat in his tent with his knees to his chest and did not move. The voice said his name 7 more times across the next hour and 15 minutes, each time from slightly different positions along the tree line. Each time closer. At 3:41 a.m. it stopped. The forest sounds came back gradually, the way they do after a power outage. First one cricket, then another, then the full chorus resuming as if it had never paused. Daniel and Marcus stayed in their tents until full light. When they emerged at 6 a.m., Claire's tent was still zipped from the inside. She was inside it. She had slept through the entire night and heard nothing. They found, at the edge of the tree line, in the soft ground near the water's edge, a series of impressions that none of them could immediately categorize. Too large to be bare prints. Too regular to be anything they recognized, spaced roughly 12 feet apart, going in. And then, 20 feet further into the tree line, the impression simply stopped, as if whatever had made them had stood still for a very long time, then had not moved in any direction. Had simply stopped existing in a way that left marks. They broke camp that morning and paddled out. Daniel said the thing that stays with him is the voice. Not the impressions, not the silence, the voice. He said he has thought about it every day. Since he said he cannot decide which is more disturbing, that it sounded almost exactly like Claire, or that it clearly knew him well enough to use her.
The others happened that night. This one happened at 10 in the morning. Clear weather, 2 witnesses, a work order. Sometimes it doesn't wait for dark.
The last account was filed as an internal report by a utility maintenance company in rural Idaho. The report was submitted by a crew supervisor named Tom Garrett. It concerned a job order dated September 14, 2022. The order was to replace a damaged utility pole on a rural stretch of Highway 93 between the towns of Salmon and Chalice. About 40 miles of high desert and scrubland with almost no traffic and nothing else. Standard maintenance work, the kind of job that takes 90 minutes and involves 2 people and a boom truck. Tom drove out with a colleague named Ray. They found the road easily. They drove to the coordinates in the work order. They pulled the truck onto the shoulder and got out. There were 11 utility poles visible from where they parked. Tom counted them because that's what you do. You establish your work site. You account for what's there. He counted 11. But the work order said there should be 12. He looked at the GPS coordinates again. He was exactly where he was supposed to be. 12 poles. There were supposed to be 12 poles. He counted again. 11. He told Ray. Ray counted 11. They agreed that one of 2 things had happened. Either the pole had already been removed by someone else and the work order was outdated, or they were on the wrong stretch of road and the pole was further up. They decided to drive another half-mile north and check. That was when Ray said, "Tom." Tom looked over. Ray was looking back down the road, back toward where they had come from, back toward the 11 poles. He said, "Count them again." Tom looked. 12 poles. He could see 12 poles now. He said to Ray, "Did someone come while we were talking?" Ray said no. He had been watching the road the whole time. No vehicles had passed. Tom got out of the truck. He walked toward the poles, counting as he went. 1, 2, 3, all standard, treated pine, transformer hardware at the top, wires running between them. He got to the 7th pole and stopped. He said later that he couldn't immediately identify what was wrong. He stood in front of it for several seconds. It looked like a pole. It was the right color, the right diameter, the right height, maybe slightly taller than the others, but poles vary. Then he noticed the wires. Those wires ran from pole 6 to pole 7. They ran from pole 7 to pole 8. But the wires that ran to and from pole 7, they were not attached to pole 7 at the same point. They were attached to the others. On every other pole, the wires connected to hardware bolted near the top. Cross arms, standard equipment. On pole 7, the wires were connected about 8 feet lower than they should have been, as if the pole was taller than the others. As if what the wires were attached to was the same height as the others, but there was more pole above it, a lot more. Tom took a photograph. He walked back to the truck. He told Ray what he had seen. Ray said he wasn't going to look at it. They filed the work order as complete, listed the pole as not requiring replacement, and drove back to Salmon. Tom submitted the report that evening. He included the photograph. His supervisor called him the next morning. The supervisor had forwarded the photograph to the company's infrastructure database for comparison against the registered equipment on that stretch of road. There were 11 registered poles on that section of Highway 93, not 12. The supervisor asked Tom if he had any explanation for the photograph. Tom said no. The supervisor said the company was sending another crew to investigate. That crew went out 3 days later. They counted 11 poles. The photograph Tom had taken showed 12. Nobody went back after that. Tom Garrett quit his job with the utility company in November of that year. He did not give a reason in his resignation letter. In the internal report, filed before he quit, he wrote one additional note that his supervisor said he did not know what to do with. It read, "On the drive back, Ray told me that when I walked over to look at the poles, he watched me the whole time. He said I walked up to the 7th pole and stood in front of it for about 30 seconds. Then I walked back. He said while I was standing there, the pole I was standing in front of moved. Not much. He said it was like watching something shift its weight. He said I didn't notice. He said he didn't say anything because he didn't know what to say. He said the thing that scared him most was not the movement. It was that the whole time I was standing in front of it, looking at it, whatever it was looking back at me. He could tell because the sirens were facing my direction. He said they tracked me the whole time I was there. And then, when I turned and walked away, they kept facing the direction I had gone. For a very long time after I left."
Trevor Henderson created Siren Head in 2018. He said it is not a man-made creature. He said it has been here far longer than we have. He said it learned to mimic our warning systems, because our warning systems are how we find each other. When something is wrong, it learned that it used that 3 accounts, 3 places, 3 people who came close enough to understand that the thing standing between the trees is not a tree. The question that none of them could answer, and that none of us can answer, is not what Siren Head is. It's how long it has been standing there, before anyone noticed. Look at the road you drove in on tonight. Count the utility poles. If the number is wrong, don't go back to count again. Subscribe. Stay dark.